Well, good morning. It's Kara from Nine Lives Paranormal, and I am sitting here with Christine Jansen, who is one of our directors who submitted to The Hollow, and actually our most prolific submitter, topping at 3 movies that will be seen, including, now I'm going to say it wrong again because we practiced. I'll say it wrong. Machinell House, Instinct, and Bad Clown. So welcome, Christine. How are you?
Good, thank you.
I hope I didn't wake you up too early this morning with everything, but
No, 10:30 is perfect.
10:30 is perfect. Cool. Okay. So why don't we start right off the back and tell us, you want to pick one, or do you want to just start overall with your history with film?
Yeah, I could just talk about my history in general.
Awesome.
In the early 2000s, I really wanted to do music videos and trailers, but I just didn't have a lot of video experience. I didn't have a video camera, so it was just harder to get into that space at that time. In school, I went for art video, which was more about performance art using video as a medium as opposed to true filmmaking. But I did carry a camcorder everywhere, a mini DV everywhere that I went. And then I graduated and I ended up falling into graphic design. So I did that for a while. And then I became a librarian. And then I have been a librarian since. But between COVID and turning 40, my midlife crisis was like, hey, this thing you always wanted to do, it's cheaper to do now. There's better quality with the cameras that are available. Before, it looked like you were filming with a camcorder. Now it actually looks a lot more filmic, more cinematic looking. So it was easier to enter into it again. So I was like, yeah, I would like to open up my own film production company, and I would like to do this thing that I always wanted to do.
Wow, that's a fantastic story, and because I know so many people that have either started and said, "Hey, this is what I want to do from the beginning," and they started with film. But I also, it seems that the most prevalent story is like one of yours. It's like you start with something adjacent, and then it goes into full time because it becomes like something you really want to do. So let's talk about your 3 films that you submitted to the Hollow. Okay, so is there one you want to start with? No, let's start with Instinct. Okay, because that one really stood out for me. But I won't tell you why yet. But go ahead. Let's hear you talk about Instinct a little bit and its premise, and go ahead.
All right. Yeah. So I don't write. So I connected through a lot of writers between Stage 32 and I feel bad that I'm blinking on the other script writing site.
Okay.
But there were 2 script sites where I connected with a lot of people, and Instinct was actually supposed to be the first one that I produced, but by the time we had it together, it really needed to be done during the summer. So Raw Data, which ended up being my first, I was able to do in March. This was my first summer one. The premise of this one is about going to the park. There is a park monster there, and being aware of your surroundings. What I pulled out as the subtext is that when men walk around, they don't necessarily have to be aware of their surroundings as much as women do, and we almost have to be hypersensitive. So it is that hypersensitivity that helps the lead character in this compared to the first victim.
Fantastic. And it's so funny that you said that because that's a great subtext that I didn't even put together. I just thought that, she was just more hyper aware of her surroundings than, the guy. But, in retrospect and looking at it, he's more engaged with the environment than even she is, like, oh, I got you. Like it couldn't be happening for, to him. What location did you use? Could you tell us for the park?
Yes. I'm sorry I don't remember the name of the park, but it's in Denville, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. That's okay, cool. Because it looked familiar, and because I'm up in Denville a lot in Boonton, I was like, this looks familiar, and I'm not quite sure. Where have I been that I remember these things? I was like,
my very supportive husband drove me to like 15 different parks around New Jersey for us to, because we were looking for one that had a bridge. And then we came across this one and it had 2 great bridges.
oh, look at that.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges you had in filming that? I would consider maybe wildlife would be like the challenge of it, but what was one of the challenges?
I love that you brought that up because it's exactly what happened. There was a mama black bear with her 2 baby
No.
cubs. Yeah, yeah. So I only had a permit to film there for that one day. So we needed to film there that day, and they're just kind of, and it was a hot day. I think it got up to 90 degrees that day. So they're just wandering around, and they end up to go. They climb up a tree and they start taking a nap in a tree. So I didn't have exclusivity to the park. The police were called, animal control were called, and they said, if you stay away from them, they're going to stay away from you. They're not going to hurt you, but don't go near them. So in the beginning, when he's walking and he turns to the right to look into the woods, that is
Yeah.
where the bears are.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So we were able to get a few shots of that before they're like, "Yep, you can't film on this side of the park anymore. So you have to go film on the other side of the park." So at least we were able to get that shot in. But yeah, no, he's actually looking at bears.
Oh my goodness. So was that the first time you saw them that he knew they were there and he was just giving oh, am I okay walking down here?
Yeah.
That's funny. I had no idea.
The other challenge was he's supposed to start getting soaking wet from the feet up. Like he is
Right.
supposed to be drowning on land. But
Correct.
because of the 90-degree day, his clothes kept drying so fast. So our poor lead, Tasso, kept having to constantly getting doused with water, which because it was so hot, even though the water was room temperature, it felt very cold.
Yes.
So that was a less wonderful experience for him.
Oh my goodness. But I would, when I was watching it, I could only imagine. And I was kind of like, he's walking through it. Like you said, you see the water, getting, I'm actually thinking at the same time, I was like, how did they actually do this? Did they throw him into the pond? Like, how did this happen? But anyway, in terms of the movie and building suspense, I think effectively, it comes across that with the other people that go to the park, there is that mysterious quality of what actually is in the park, and and where they decide, or I should say the monster decides to take their next victim. Was it hard without showing a monster proper to build that suspense?
I don't think so.
No.
I totally feel for Steven Spielberg and Hitchcock, and I understand why they show the monsters less. And it's been a journey I've gone on through the whole time with anything that has a creature or monster, of that it is scarier the less you have. And I find more and more that I tend to shoot more and cut a lot of it out. There were supposed to be more reveals, but it just became scarier the less that you did see of them.
Yeah, and I tend to find that a lot of the movies that I like, that I find that are more that I feel are more terrifying, are the ones where there aren't like the monster imposed, that have more like it's a head trip, like, because you don't know what really is pulling on them, and I got that sense from Instinct. It's like, that there's something there, but you're not quite sure of what it is that's there, and it's successfully taking its victims. When we go into, as opposed to one of your other ones, like say Bad Clown, like what it is, right? you know it's the clown, and that was my ill attempt at a segue. So what? So in terms of Bad Clown, right? In terms of Bad Clown, let's talk about that one, because that one was a little bit more straightforward than say Instinct. So talk about that one and how that one came about.
Yeah, so that one was actually, Machinell House was then supposed to be the third one we did, and I just had the hardest time finding a house. Mm-hmm. And I had a writer that Jane had reached out to me previously with an amazing short script, and I said, that's great, but that one requires so many special effects. I just don't have a budget to make that right now. Keep me in mind for future ones. And she's like, hey, I just wrote this up before I share it on the script site. I want to share it with you. And I'm like, I love it. I want it. We're
Mhm.
going to make this. Because I was just so anxious to make something while I was waiting for a haunted house or a house for
Mhm.
Mansional House.
Mhm.
So this story is about a mother and a daughter who recently had to move because of divorce, and change is so hard. And the manifestation of the fears and anxieties of that change come out in this creepy clown doll that they find in the house that they just moved into.
Yes. And I'm sorry that my dog is barking, but it's that time of day where everybody is walking their dogs in front of my house. So I apologize for that. So anyway, I'll edit that. But in talking about I'm sorry, it seems to be more than just somebody walking their dog. Sorry, I'll edit that all out. But anyway, when talking about Bad Clown, and getting the story and the anxieties attached to the doll, and like I said, it was a pretty straightforward film, but terrifying because clowns are creepy. Let's face it, And was there any underlying subtext with that one?
I would just say that more that we just did so much background work of really deep, because it's a short, it's a micro short.
Right. Yeah.
Really having the two actresses in character really talk about why did they get divorced? How has this affected them, both individually? How is this making you feel? And while you don't get to hear all that backstory, I really see that this could have been played so simply, and all that backstory plays out in these two characters that it just gives them a little bit more three-dimensionality to
Yes.
talk about all those issues. So, but the mother is very upset about the husband and that he got to keep the house and she had to move out.
Right.
But she wants to provide for her daughter, but she's extremely stressed out right now. The daughter, she just lost all her friends. She's feeling lonely. She doesn't understand why she's stuck in this situation. She's not happy about the move. So it was a little less about subtext as much as that this is just a manifestation of all of their anxieties.
Yeah, and it's funny, not funny, but it's interesting. As a paranormal investigator, we do a lot of, when we do some of our investigations and we talk about manifestations of entity, we talk about stress and trauma and things like that, and the fact that it is a younger girl and her mom, teen girl and her mom, that stress and trauma, people, there's the theory that that's what causes poltergeist activity, that it's the stress and trauma of a young, a younger person going through some sort of traumatic event, usually associated with teenagers. Unfortunately, it didn't work out as well, for your main character. And I also like that you didn't put any you didn't put any resolution as to what happened to the girl, or how it turned out with the doll. The doll just vanishes pretty much. So it leaves you again with that mystery, sort of like the same thing with Instinct, where you really don't have the demonstrative character there, but it still leaves you with what is that lurking, literally in the forest, under the bed, what is that? I liked it a lot. Now, last but not least, the piece de resistance, Machinell Manor. You finally got the location. I see. So where did you actually end up shooting it?
So Bad Clown was filmed in a spare bedroom in my house.
Oh,
And
okay.
while I was there, my executive producer said, why don't you shoot Mansional House here? And I'm like, no, like I really want an old looking house and we've remodeled a lot of this and blah, blah, blah. He's like, you just add a little production design and this could be your house. And I was like, ah, all right. So both of those were filmed at my house.
Oh, wonderful. And good for budget too.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Free is good. So let's talk about the premise of Machinell House. So your script writers, and again, you said you don't write, so that came to you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I loved this. Can I have spoilers?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. So I love this story that you're like, is it or isn't a haunted house? And I knew that my feature was going to be a
Mhm.
haunted house story. So, well, it's kind of a proof of concept, but not. But I just wanted to play in that space before doing a feature. And I loved about this that you're questioning, is it really a haunted house or not? And there's all these signs, and you're not certain. They get very scared. And then at the end, you're like, oh, it wasn't a haunted house. It was a hoax. And then you're like disappointed. And then the hoaxers go inside to be attacked by the entity that was actually in the haunted house. So I love that misdirection and that extra twist of, oh, it was haunted after all.
Yeah, and it's as a paranormal investigator, we find ourselves not in that particular position, but in the position of where we purposely rent a haunted house to investigate, and then we wonder whether or not, is this really, happening, and then we have, we have to literally get our the bejesus scared out of us. But when we realize that, yeah, it really is, but in terms of in terms of your cast for that, did you have to search far and wide for people to do good, character acting? And I have a follow-up question about the filming of the actual entity that's upstairs and the camera work for that, because I found that really good in the window and everything. But let's talk about casting first. Let's
So this was the my co-producer Gustav. It wasn't backstage, but he introduced Actors Access. I think that's where we had posted it to
Mhm.
find additional actors. And Alex was just like an absolute amazing find, because it's interesting. Like, you go in with someone with in mind, but I was never expecting someone that comedic. If
Yes.
you had read the script, and I just absolutely loved what he did with the character. But when I knew that he was my character, unfortunately, I was thinking of a gothier alternative girl to be his girlfriend. But now I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's as much of a fit. And when Alicia auditioned, I was like, ooh, like I love her cynicism, um, that she kind of has, and plays off. And it's one of those things, like, it's not how I envisioned the role to be played, but I just fell in love with her audition and how she auditioned for it. And I was like, "Ooh, I think this pairing could be very interesting."
Yeah. And I one of the things, like, when we talk about when we chose, especially Machinell, it's because of that dynamic, and it's because we can relate to it as, paranormal investigators, and we understand, like, some of the cynicism, and at the same time, so it resonated, and we wanted it to resonate with our audience, that'll be coming, that'll be saying, yeah, I've been there, it's like, I've been, not your house, but, I've been there, I've been in that situation, so and also, I wanted to talk about, the cinematography and the filming of that character up in the window, because it really, especially the last scene, it was really good. So how did you pull those effects?
So you want the bathroom one first?
Sure.
Okay, yes. So that's my husband on a ladder.
Oh, wow.
Where I gave him the costume and the glove, and he did the stunts. Oops, sorry,
Mhm.
I have a little visitor myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe now I won't edit it, the stuff, since we're on the same page.
Um, yeah. So it was written in the script that a hand was supposed to come out through the window to scare them. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna do this. He was on a ladder. For
There
the
you go.
very final scene, how he peeks out the window, there's actually an island in the kitchen.
Hmm.
So that is my nephew who is playing the entity.
Oh.
And my cousin is an amazing makeup artist,
Hmm.
and she was on the working for the Colbert Show,
Oh,
and
nice.
she did his amazing makeup. And I just feel so bad that she spent 8 hours, and it's looks amazing, and you can see it in all the behind the scenes footage. But unfortunately, again, it's dark and it's at, you know, at night, so you don't get to see her amazing work.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just Alexa did an amazing job on the makeup for CJ. But yeah, he's sitting on an island and just kind of peering through the window.
That's great. You do, and I've also heard after I said it that you do an amazing editing job, and the editing I think is so key in all three of your films on what you choose to, you know. And now I have another visitor over here, just so that you know. What do you find most challenging about the editing process when you're trying to create a certain effect or vibe, or you know, or what's easiest for you, you know, or does it come easy?
So I would say I started as an editor and worked backwards.
Okay.
So I have the edit in my head as much as possible when I go to storyboard and do the shot list and to do the actual filming. So because I work backwards, I know what I should have. But I will say I'm always learning. And each time when I'm in the editing room, I'm like, oh, I should have gotten more coverage, or oh, I wish I had more B roll, or oh, I wish I had a better angle. And so the next time, excuse me, I do better to know, oh, I'm going to need those additional shots. So I would definitely say, as an editor, it makes me a better director to know how it needs to all be put together and what do we need and what we don't need.
Got
But
it.
yeah, otherwise, it's funny. I go through several. She's looking to knock stuff down because I'm
That's
not paying
fine.
attention.
You know, we're just going to
Um,
keep the animal. We're just going to keep the animal parts in because
Animal's gonna animal.
that's right. They're going to do what they're going to do.
Can you not knock everything down, please? Okay, we're gonna put you. Hi,
Hi, what's that? What's your name?
I'm Zoe.
Hi, Zoe.
All right. I bought her a pedestal to go next to me that half the time she uses. Not, not today.
That's how it always. We bought ours stairs so that they wouldn't jump on and off, that they would walk and not hurt their legs. And of course, where is it? It's the garage, you know, because they don't want to use it. Sorry. Okay, so editing. You work backwards.
Yeah, no, like it's helped me to be a better director. No, and planning the shoots and everything to edit. But when the three stages of editing, the first is, oh, I'm so excited to cut this together to see how it looks. I'm a very visual person. And then I go in this middle stage of, this isn't as scary as I want it to be. This isn't as good. What's going on? And then the music. Once the music comes in, I'm like, oh, this is the movie I wanted. This is the film I wanted. So I have been working with the same, Vinny's an amazing sound designer. I'm so lucky to be working with him because he works on like TV shows and actual films, but I got introduced to him and he's absolutely amazing. So he's been my sound designer. So through all the royalty free stuff, I will usually say, hey, like, I want to, like, I'll put a riser in or a sound effect, but like, if he can find a better one, or he even does some foley himself, he might recreate it himself and do it. And he brings my stuff to life, which I just absolutely love, because like I can video edit and I can do my best with audio, but like I have no love for audio when it comes to like the true editing and polishing of it. Like I can say like, oh, I know I want to have this sound effect and this foley and this music here. I can do that part, but to clean it up, I'm not so great at that.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, don't get me wrong, I know nothing about editing, you know, or whatever. And you're probably going to look at this interview afterward and be like, holy crap, that looks, you know, that looks horrible. But I'm a paranormal investigator. You know, however, my son is going for audio engineering, and I see the amount of time that he puts into everything that he does, and how painstakingly, you know, laborious it is. And, you know, I don't wish it on anybody, you know, but,
and there's a fun,
I'm sorry,
thing about Machinell House. So it was written by Matthew Sawyer, who is British.
Mm-hmm.
So in the very beginning of the film, when they're walking down the street, he actually mentions 3 haunted locations in England. I am not a paranormal investigator, but of course I love things all spooky. So I went to all three of the places that I mentioned, Salem, Savannah. Sorry, I forgot what the third place was, but I specifically put those in because those were told to me to be some of the most haunted places.
Was it? I'm trying to remember. It wasn't New Orleans, was it?
It hadn't been, maybe. I don't remember. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember what the third
I
one
don't
was.
remember the third one now. Now I don't remember. So you went to all three. So you actually did the groundwork for it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
what did you think?
well, Savannah was just amazing. I need to
Wow.
go back there. I didn't realize it was a necropolis, and the stories are just absolutely amazing there. So like that town is amazing. I definitely want to go back there.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like Salem is just unfortunate and somber of the circumstances of everything that went down there.
Right. Right. And then the third one, yeah, we just don't remember. But
But I specifically put those in because those are places that I've been to that are. Oh, Jim Thorpe. That's right.
oh yes, Jim Thorpe.
The jail in Jim Thorpe.
Yes.
We went through an experience and they showed us the cell that's the most haunted cell that we're supposed to see a ghost in. So yeah, I go to those things. I go to those.
No, look at that. You do also do walk the walk.
Mm-hmm.
You have to come with us to do some of them, in the area and see what happens, and I actually tell people, it's like, when we have events, or we have a group meeting for whatever, a group of paranormal investigators, I invite people from film because and the horror genre, because you could get a lot of good ideas just by listening to people speak. And the smallest event that happens may not be anything to us as paranormal investigators, but as a person that has, in film, they can, you can do an entire film on just one happening, So, but I digress. So I'm actually, now I'm looking forward. I was like, I will give you the contact information afterwards so you can come with us, because it would be really, really cool. So in turn, we're talking about we're on your audio, and I don't want to keep flipping around, but I'm gonna, going back to instinct, right? The audio had a great big part in that, and not so much, lulling the savage beast that was up in the tree, sleeping, but in terms of building the suspense, because it was very light on dialogue, it was mostly music, it was mostly sound effect, and it was watching, the film. So could you talk to that for a little bit?
Yeah, so the script actually said that once you go over the bridge, you can no longer hear birds chirping or like grasshoppers.
Yeah.
And I didn't think that through. So the few times that he does talk, like it's hard, like you can mute it for a little while, but as soon as he talks, you're going to hear it again. And I know it could have been done through ADR, but I was just like, ugh. I'm not certain how we're going to do that. So I definitely knew, I wanted the voices to be thrown so you can't really see like where the monster's from. And
Right.
that first time you hear the boy, he's quickly referenced in the very beginning, because that was the other thing too, is just I wanted to show that there was a pattern of people that are missing.
Mm-hmm.
So what's fun is the first person you see is one of the co-writers of Instinct. The second person is one of my friend's sons, who has a cameo in Legato as well. He gave us his voice. And then the third person was me, but as my real life persona, as a librarian, not as a director. But just to show that there's this is going on
Pattern.
for a while, people are missing, because I just wanted to explain why you hear a boy's voice first, but then and saying like that was the last person who died, and now you're hearing the man who just died. Like the idea is you're hearing the previous person who just passed.
Right. I got that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I found that I found that extremely interesting. Like it assumes the persona or the voice of the person before. Like it's constantly changing. It's never stagnant.
As far as the music goes, I am so heavily influenced by Tales from the Dark Side.
Oh yes,
Afraid of the Dark, and Twilight Zone. Like those are just those three just totally influenced. So like the beginning intro to me feels like an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode, especially with Instinct. Like everything. It just reminded me a lot of that. So I loved that song. It's so funny because when I was trying to figure out, I wanted a hero song for when she trips, but she fell onto the bridge, so she passed the barrier, so he can't actually get her. And
Right.
then you think she got, and then she gets back up again. I wanted something super heroic sounding there. And I did the more traditional hero Marvel sounding songs, and I wasn't feeling it. And when I came across this song, I'm like, I feel like this is so against genre, but I love this song. Like
Right.
it's a hype song.
Yes.
It's not a hero song, it's a hype song. And I was
Yes.
just like, yeah. And then the songs, and again, my husband is such an amazing supportive partner. And because he's right here, he's always the first person to be asked, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I played a few bunch of different songs, and he's like, no, that's definitely the song. So then I was like, okay, but like everything was creepy up to this, and this song feels like it's coming out of nowhere. How do I make it feel more cohesive? And then that's when I thought, add it to the intro, add it to the
Yes.
intro song and sandwich it. And now it's not so
Disjointed.
genre different at the end.
Yeah. No, the song really works, and I totally, got what you were what you were going for with it. And it was actually, for me anyway, as a viewer, it was actually a little refreshing because you put me in this space, throughout the entire movie, this intensity, and then all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh, it breaks the tension, so it works super super well, and even with Bad Clown, the sound and the soundtrack of it, it really added to, in lack of a better word, that creepy intensity. It's like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You just, but the music, the soundtrack leads up to that, and it doesn't let go, because even at the back and at the end, where it disappears, not spoiler attack, where it disappears, it's like boom, it's like it really brings you on the journey, so it's masterfully done, I feel.
Thank you.
So in terms of what's next for you, because I don't want to keep you super long, but in terms of what's next for you and where people can find you, where could they do it? Let's do the social media plug.
So on Instagram and Facebook, I'm at Beautiful Darkness Productions, and my website is beautifuldarknessproductions.com. So super simple for all of those. All of my shorts are available currently on my website, which will also link to YouTube and Vimeo. And my next is last summer, I worked on my first feature, which is just finishing up post right now. It's called Legato, and I think you would love it. It is a haunted house story where so the psychic ability is for only the women in this family. And they go to clear the house only to find out that in addition to the ghosts that are there, there's something darker and older also residing in the house.
Ooh. And where could we find that after post-production?
That is excellent. So we are going to be entering to film festivals. We're going to try and get it on streaming. So again, following us on social media or our website, we are hoping for a fall premiere.
Oh, that is going to be awesome.
And that's where we'll link all the updates of how it can be seen.
Oh, that's fantastic. I can't wait. Now I'm definitely, if I follow all the directors, so, but I have to double check now and make sure I did everything, because I got so lax, and stuff when I was trying to put everything together. So now I have to do that. So with I had one more thing I wanted to ask you, and now I forgot it. But I did. So in terms of your other films, that is all your social media or whatever. Are there any film festivals besides the Hollow that people can catch you at?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay. Thank you. Very good then. So I'm gonna close it for now.